Hello everyone. We still have some time before we start. We still have like 9 minutes. I'd like to welcome all of you. Thank you so much for joining. And just wait, we're gonna start soon. Where should I start? Where should I start? Where should I start? Yeah. Okay, so yeah. So let's go live on Facebook. So guys. Yeah. Only 5 minutes before we start. So, let's add a chat. Hello, everyone. How are you? Just feel free to say hi and hello, everyone, and tell us where are you from. Hello, Ricardo. Ricardo's here. Hello, my friend. We're going to start after like 4 minutes. Thank you so much. I'm gonna unmute you when we start. So, Shaimaa Sayed, hello from Egypt. Hello, Shaimaa. How are you? And how's teaching in Egypt? We have some of the usual faces like Mr. Hussam, Mr. Raed, and I like to welcome my dear friend Said Morgan. Hello, Said. It's your first time, and I'm very happy that you're here. Miss Nadia, Asmahan, Isra, Farhanda. Hello, Farhanda. Sugada, Mr. Hani, Miss Samah. Hello from Alexandria. Hello, Miss Naima from Alexandria. Mr. Ahmed Al-Battat, hello. How are you, my friend? I'm very happy that you joined. Mr. Tariq and Miss Ro'a. Mr. Hussam, I said. Hello, everyone. Yes, Mr. Tariq from Al Madina. MashaAllah. Pray for us, my friend. We're just waiting for Nancy. She's not here. Hello, Samah. How are you? We're waiting for Nancy. So let me, yes, I have my stuff here. Hello, Sayed. Hello from Egypt. This is great. Hello, Mr. Ahmed. How are you? It's fine. It's fine. We're trying to survive. So we have only 2 minutes left. Hello, Miss Hind. How are you? It's nice that you joined. Hello, Hussam. How are you, Hussam? So we're still waiting for Nancy. Always good. Okay, Miss Farhanda, I will host someone to talk about mathematics. Okay. Guys, let's check where is Nancy. Nancy. Hello, Nancy, where are you? So, I don't know if you're here. Nancy, if you're here, I don't know if you're here or not. So tell me, please, because we should start in a minute. You're welcome, Farhanda. So, we have a Q&A, guys, at the end of the session, and there will be a certificate for attendance. You're welcome. There will be a certificate for attendance when you fill in the survey. So it's 10 o'clock and we should start. Thank you so much, guys, for attending this session. And I would be happy if Nancy could join us. We're still waiting for her to connect. So I'd like to introduce my dear friend, Ricardo. Ricardo is a very smart teacher and he's from Mexico, and he's a very talented and promising one. He's a hard worker, and I want to tell him something. I hope that I can say it. I hope, because it's very difficult, my friend. So, buenas tardes a todos y buenos I teacher teleremenudes acor contactus. I could, I can't say it more than this. This is like, good afternoon and welcome to our webinar in Mexican. He sent it to me, but I couldn't read it that like him, of course. I'm sorry. So Ricardo, hello. How are you?
Hello everyone. Don't worry, Hussein. You do very good. If I have to speak Arabic, I think that I will do the same.
Yes. Okay, I will teach you how to pronounce the Arabic words perfectly. So till Nancy can join us, can you tell us briefly about your educational system, the system of the schools, like the KG school, the primary and the high one? Ricardo?
Yes, well, what I can say about education here in Mexico, it is it is very different because we have two systems practically, public and the private, and that don't match for anything. So pretty different.
Yes, thank you so much.
And
Yes, go on, go on, go on.
so I think about the questions we were discussing the other day among us was the way how to teach English as a foreign language. So in my experience, everything based on project. They have to feel it. They have to live English, and they have to get fun. For example, one of my best event I have done is this living museum. They dress themselves as a scientific, painter, artist, or something like that. So they will be presenting each one their character. So what's very fun, and they love it. They always love to be outside of the classroom, playing, jumping. That is the way for me. That is the best way to teach English through the experience.
Okay, thank you so much, Ricardo. Here is Nancy. Hello, Nancy.
Here.
Nancy, Fulcha. Fulcha, Nancy.
Oh, Fulcha, Hussein, how are you?
Fulcha? Okay, so Fulcha guys means welcome in the Irish language. So Nancy Al-Arabi. Nancy Al-Arabi is originally from Egypt. We're very lucky to have such an Egyptian person. And she's living currently in Ireland. She has been there for like 6 years, and she's a pharmacist, guys. She's not a teacher, but she switched. She changed her job so that because she loves teaching and she has a dream to become an English teacher. And I mercy this, guys. It's a very okay. I hope you and I wish you good luck. Nancy's working in Simon Community Center as an interpreter, a context translation and interpretation company. Hello, Nancy.
Hello, Mr. Hussein. Thank you so much for hosting this meeting. Thanks, Ricardo, for being with us today. It's an honor to be with you, and I would like to thank all the attendees as well. This basically it. That's who I am. I have been lived in Ireland now for the past 6 years, and I decided to shift my career around 7 years ago to follow my dream of becoming an English teacher. Yeah, so that's me.
A very successful one. A very successful English teacher. So,
thank you so much, Mr.
Can you just give us a brief account on the educational system in Ireland?
Yeah, of course. Okay, so the educational system in Ireland is made up of the normal educational system in most of the countries. So you have first the early childhood, which we call the preschool, and in Ireland the preschool or the nurseries are called crashes. It's the most popular name here, and it's it's Irish. Okay, so it's the age for the primary school or the compulsory age of school here is 6 years old. But you find like 40% of the 4 years old kids and almost all the 5 years old, they join the crashes before the 6 years old. Here you have like the primary education is what we call like 8 years cycle. So you have junior infant, senior infant, and then the 6 years of the primary schools. And they are like three sectors of the schools. You have we call it like state funded or the public schools, and then you have the privately owned schools and the special schools. And the same with we have also another 6 years with the secondary schools, but we have we call it like lower secondary schools of 3 years. The students, after finishing the first 3 years, they take exams. We call it senior exam. Or junior cert. Yeah, that's what we call it, junior cert. And then we have the upper secondary school. And in between, we have what we call it a transitional year. Has anybody heard about it? Like Mr. Hussein or Ricardo, do you have something similar?
No, I have no clue.
Okay. Yeah. So the transitional year is actually the what we call like the fourth year of the secondary school. And in this year, there's no academic work at all for the students. So what they basically do is just work experience. So it's something like, you know, if they want to, for example, become a doctor in the future, an engineer or something, they try different work experience, and the schools facilitate that. So when they come to 5th and 6th year of the secondary school, they can actually choose different subjects based on, you know, what do they want to become after they finish the secondary school. So yeah, so I found it brilliant, but you know, it's optional here to take it or not. You can jump straight away to the 5th and 6th year of the secondary school. After that, you have what we call a further education or higher education to go to the university. So that's basically it. There are a lot to be said here, but you know, I know the time is tight, so let's just continue.
Okay, so let me borrow Salma's, your friend Salma's sentence. She said that that's a very good idea. That's a great idea to have 1 year to practice what you hope to be in the future.
Yeah.
So,
but sorry, Mr. Hussein, for the interruption, but you know that some parents just consider this year just a waste of time, especially when the students feel that they are not old enough to follow it. But of course, there are a lot others who love to take this, try this year and try different work experiences.
you'll never satisfy everyone, and this is what Heidi Masood said. Yes, this is a waste of time. What do you think?
Really? Okay.
What do you think, Ricardo, about this? Do you consider it a waste of time, or it's a very fruitful year for them, a very good experience? Well, Ricardo is suffering from some network problems. So, hello, Ricardo. Okay, so the Ricardo comes back. Let me ask you a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Of course, Ireland is an English-speaking country. So let's not talk about teaching English as a first language. How do you deal with teaching English as a second language?
Okay. Just before I answer this question, I just want to just tell you that the population in Ireland is around 5 million, and we have around 600,000 foreigners live in Ireland, and they come from 200 different countries. Okay?
Only 5 million people?
Yes, yeah. Ireland. If you see Ireland on the map, it's very small.
Okay.
Yeah, so we are, and then you have around 600,000 foreigners coming from 200 different countries. And you know, their first language is definitely not English. So teaching English as a second language here in Ireland is kind of a must, you know, and especially with the adult learners. So yeah, so again, what was your question? Teaching English as a second language.
The best way is to teach English as a second language.
Okay. So, the best way from my own perspective, I deal mainly with the adult learners. So again, as I said, like a lot of foreigners come to Ireland, and there is an influx of European students who come here for study. So they need to learn English. And the very first and very important thing is to take advantage of the diversity in the classroom. So you'll have students from different countries, and you know, to take advantage of this would be such a brilliant idea, you know, to reflect that on their own culture. So no matter what lesson you prepare for the class, there is always something that they can reflect to their own country and their own culture. So you're not just teaching them English, you're teaching them life experience, and we all learn from each other. I do learn from my students as well, you know. So whether you're talking, you know, especially with the conversational class, whether you're talking about a religious, you know, political, or even something as simple as preparing food or making a cup of tea, there is always something that they can talk about when it comes to their culture. The second thing, and very, very important thing, especially with the beginners class, is the visualization. So you have to use visual aids, flashcards, handouts, drawings, videos, because, pictures speak louder than words. And try to make the class, simple, fun, and engaging. And sometimes your students actually inspire you, depending on their age, depending on their interests, where they came from. You can actually prepare something that they are interested in. So I think that's basically it.
Yes, I do agree with you that we should teach culture aside with the language, because this is very important. Because only language, only the words are not enough to understand what's going on.
Of course, yeah. So and brings also, about mindness, open-mindedness, and but at the same time, you need to be mindful of the cultural differences. So what you're expecting from students in certain country could be unacceptable in other cultures. So you also learn about that.
Yes, that's a nice place to live in. So Ricardo, hello Ricardo, welcome back. We lost Ricardo because of some power problems. So hello, my friend. I'm sorry that you didn't hear Nancy talking about the best means or ways to teach English as a second language. Of course, we know that you're in Mexico and English is, I don't know, is it the second language or the third language or what?
Yes, hello, it is very different. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, nice. Well, depending where are you at, because one of the most challenging things that happened to me is that I had to live in the middle of the jungle, the Mexican Caribbean. So we have to teach people that they don't speak even Spanish, that is our first language. They speak Mayan. So that was very hard for us, because we have to teach them with absolutely no communication. So that's why teaching through experience for me was the best thing, because in that time I learned Mayan as well. So that is something hard,
Yes, it's hard, but I guess that you gained marvelous experience, because both of you don't speak a connection. There is
common
connection
language. Yeah,
right,
there's yeah, of course. Yes, I faced it actually with some students here. They are from different countries, especially with the beginners class, and they, well, the only common language is actually the language that you want to teach them. So you have to use body language and visuals, as I said, to make them understand you.
So guys, you answered my second question, which is what's the biggest challenge that you have ever met or experienced during your classes? And I know now when you were teaching in your jungle place, and now you said that you had some students who don't know, there is no connection between both of you. So could you please explain one of the experiences that you went through, Nancy?
Okay, well, for me, I think I always, well, not always, like, and sometimes you suffer from, not suffer actually, but it's just, the accent and the pronunciation, because you see, there is always some influence of your mother tongue on the way you speak English. It's and all of us, so sometimes the students know a lot of vocabulary, but because they just they could be even fluent, but because they just speak so fast, they try to prove themselves. They don't pronounce correctly, and then it ends. And then you have they have rhythm while they are speaking, and then you end up not really following what they are saying. So what do you have? You don't, at the same time, you don't want to embarrass them by saying each and every time to repeat themselves because you don't understand. This will make them might make them shy to speak. So I tried to solve this problem by let them read a little more, because you see, when they read, you can correct them. You can tell them, okay, the correct pronunciation of this word is like this, like that. So you can actually try little by little to improve their pronunciation. And the second thing that, as I told you, that I have a very diverse class. So sometimes when you have 2 or more students coming from the same country, they speak their own language in the classroom. So, you know, and I know, well, it could be homesickness or something, but again, well, you can overcome this problem, but by first of all, and a very important thing, by setting class rules, you know, by saying, okay, English is you know, the only language is allowed in the class. Sometimes I even have some students who are Arabic speakers, but I don't speak Arabic with them. Try to be, you know, like a role model or something.
Yes.
So yeah, so it's just to try to solve, especially as I told you, like I only taught children for 2 years, but now for the past 5 years, I'm only teaching adults. So, and they are coming to my class because they want to learn, okay? It's different than teaching in school a little bit. So try to solve the problem, you know, nicely and kindly with them.
So my next question to you, I'm sorry that you need to remember this because I'm a forgetful person.
Okay.
What's the difference between teaching kids and teaching adults? Okay, but let me go to Ricardo. Ricardo, are you following us?
Yes.
Hello, my
well,
friend.
yes,
What's your biggest
something
challenge? What's
Hello?
the biggest challenge that you went through while teaching in your country?
Well, there was a time that I had a single student that was, you know, the most terrible kid. He won't be quiet for a second. He was jumping all around. And you cannot deal with him. You can say, you are not going out for recess, he doesn't matter. You don't go out early this afternoon, he doesn't matter. I'm gonna tell your mother, he doesn't matter. So what's hard dealing with that? And this was a 5th grader, right, in primary school. So it is hard. So what I did, and I discovered a lot of things on the human side, because sometimes we teachers, this Mexico, we are propense to go and be the knowledge fillers, right? You go and you dictate your class, and if you catch it, good and goodbye, right? But then I start to involve, to have this human approach, right? So I went up to him to say, could you please then let's team up, right? Because I know that you get boring or something like that. So come and join me. You are going to be my helper. And that was the first time that he was behaving in the classroom, because I made him useful. Because then I start talking with their parents, and was a kid without attention, you know. So parents always working, always fighting, you know, the typical things in our society today. So on the other hand, as we just heard, to teach adults is different, because they know that they need to learn and they paying for it. So it is very different. For that was one of my most challenging times with this little kid, but I discovered that their technique. That's it.
Yeah. That's brilliant.
So, Ricardo, do you mean that you're a primary teacher now? You're teaching kids?
I am teaching 5th, 6th grade in primary, and 1st and 2nd junior high, and sometimes they call me to teach at the university by hours.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay, this is extra work.
Yeah,
okay,
very good.
This is great.
Yeah. But you know, my first approach for teaching was when I was 18 years old, and I was traveling and backpacking here in Mexico, and I ran out of money. So I said, what? Somebody heard me talking English, and they told me, well, you don't join my school, you will teach English. And I get there, I was a kindergarten. So I spent there 4 months teaching, playing with kids, because I was also a kid. I was 18 years old, right? We were just painting, you know, doing mess at the school. But that was great. That was one of the things that made me focus on this career.
Great.
That's good.
Let's go back, Nancy, to the question I
Yeah.
asked you, which is, what's the difference between teaching kids and teaching adults?
Okay, so well, there is actually some similarities and some differences. I would say, well, the age group matters when it comes to preparing your lesson. You could prepare the same topic for adults and children, but the way you explain it to adults would be completely different. I know, well, the similarities, like both adults and children, they love, games, they love engagement and to have fun. We both love that. They both love that. But again, it's about how do you prepare it, the way you use your body language to explain to a child, your voice, the tone of voice when you are speaking to a kid, and you're trying to make, sometimes you're a bit silly, sometimes you're a bit funny, okay? But again, this is different when you're speaking with adults. Also the problems when it comes to, or I mean, the challenges that you face in the classroom, some of them could be, again, similar, like a lack of concentration, for example. This could be because the child is distracted by some sort of a game, or maybe he's not interested. And again, this could happen also in the adult class for another reasons, like because adults, for example, they have their own life and responsibilities, and sometimes they bring that to the classroom. So I think, there are some similarities and differences, and then you have to evaluate the whole thing and to work with it.
Okay, so let me go to another point. How do you interact with parents? I mean the official way that the school approves.
Okay. Okay. Here in Ireland, it's mainly through. Well, the students have diaries. For example, like if you want to write about their homework, assignments, or notes to the parents, well, the parents should check their diaries daily. If there is something the teacher needs to tell the parents, they do that through texting, emails. And then if there's something like important, like a very official way, like the dates of start the new year, or the holidays, or the at the beginning of every year, the uniform information about uniform and books and all that, this needs to be done through posts. Okay, so it had to be through letters. So mainly, yes, it's text, emails, and letters. The school diaries, as I said, and then sometimes the teachers send notes to the parents regarding, like late notes, absence notes, behaviors, and of course, the teacher parents meeting. This is very important. So the teacher prepare every a file for every student, and then they start discussing the progress or what needs to be improved about their child. But the very, very interesting thing here is that sometimes the parents are actually involved in some activities in the school with their kids, especially with the primary students. I remember a friend of mine last year told me that they had something, if you heard about it, like a luck pot. Have you heard about luck pot? It's the same, it's a same, when you say like dish party. So it was brilliant because you see, you had a lot of students coming from different countries, and then everyone brought his own dish from his own country, prepared his own way, and then everyone was involved: the parents, the teachers, the students. So it was such fun. There are different activities for the secondary school in which the parents are involved, through a theater, for example, acting, music, dance, and something like that. And then you have the tickets. Tickets are sold. The parents come and attend, watch their children performing on stage. So it's very good way to communicate with the parents, because sometimes you only communicate with the parents when their children misbehave or something. So it's always good to keep them in the good events as much as the bad ones.
Yes, they have to show their good faces to their parents.
Of course, yeah.
So could you please repeat the name of the event that you have just said?
Lakpod.
Okay.
Lakpod.
So we have a question before I come to you, Ricardo.
Yes.
Musa'ad is asking both of you, is it better to teach or to give them the homework in the beginning or at the end of the period or the lesson? what's common in your country?
To give them the homework?
Yes.
Okay, to tell them what they should do, do you mean?
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, for home, right? They have the things that they have to do at home in the afternoons. Well, here in Mexico, we have two ways. We say it all depends, on the school. I have been working in a school that they ask you for a full calendar, a year calendar of homework. And regarding about how we communicate here with parents, most of the schools, they have their own platform that you can mail with parents and kids through that unique platform. In here, we cannot have the numbers of the cell phones of the students or emails or Facebook or nothing at all. Normally, all the schools, they have their own system where we have to communicate by. And in this particular school, they ask you to do day by day a planning of the homework you are going to give during the year. Personally, I didn't like it because I prefer, first of all, I prefer to work at the school, and outside of the school they have to be kids. They have to enjoy themselves. They don't have to be working at home, right? Because that's why we are working at school. Obviously, there could be some reinforcements, but not as a typical homework, right? So I prefer to don't give them any work for afternoons. But if I have to, I prefer to do it after the lesson because then I know what was not clear, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I do agree with what we said, Ricardo, concerning the idea of homework. I don't give much homework. What about you, Nancy?
Yeah, I do. I agree with Ricardo. I prefer to give the homework. Well, I don't give too much homework as well, but I prefer to give it at the end of the class because, well, you already prepared a lesson, so it's better to explain it to them and get them to understand what you're talking about. So when you explain to them what they're going to do at home, they would have some idea about what you're talking about. This is my own opinion.
Okay, so Ricardo.
If I interrupt you again, is I told you that there were also two kinds of schools here. The public system, for example, here the public system, you have to earn the right to have that seat at school, right? So there the teachers are tough in the way that they say the class, and if you was not paying attention, sorry for you. And they have no communication with parents. They only communicate with the office, with the principal's office, and the principal's office make all the communication. But on the other hand, in the private schools where I'm teaching, it's very hard because beside of being your pupils, they are your clients as well. So if you are very tough as that, you are going to lose some customers. They are going to run away. So you in danger your job because if there is no students at school, they cannot pay you, right? But and the problem here is that sometimes in the private school, doesn't matter what happened. The teacher is always the villain, right? So that's a little bit tough to keep the discipline in this kind of work, right?
Yes. So here we have Tahira. She's telling us that brainstorming is a good idea to help students get to know and communicate with them. And Han Ruby said that, what do you think if there are no homework and the children do practice the chores at home? Okay, so guys, let's.
What is it? Sorry again, Hussein. What's the second question? I didn't hear it well.
She's talking about the idea of homework.
Okay.
And what about if they can do that at school during the school day?
Okay. So they do the homework at school. Well, actually, what I saw here in Ireland so far that they don't take too much homework, and sometimes if it's, for example, the weather here in Ireland is very cloudy and rainy most of the time. So if there is 1 week that the weather is sunny, so your homework, and it's written like that, letter with the kid, your homework today is to go out and enjoy the sun. Okay, so and there will be no homework on this week. Okay, so yeah, I think you shouldn't, especially with the primary school, you shouldn't give the students too much work because they end up hating school, and what stick to their mind is not much. This is my opinion, you know.
Okay, guys, I got Mr. Musaid's sentence in a wrong way, because he didn't mean to give the homework, but to check the homework itself.
Check, okay.
So do you check the homework in the beginning or at the end, or you just check that in another session while you're not in class?
Okay.
So tell me what they do.
Well, if it's, sorry, if it is, for example, I'm checking today the homework of yesterday, right? So what I normally do, it is cross notebooks or cross books. So work with a partner, right? You are gonna mark his homework and you're gonna mark her homework. So I'm gonna give them the good answers, the right answers, and then we are marking all together as a group. For example, I can say, read the question number 1, Maria. So Maria, read the question 1, and who has the answer? And we do it like this. And it is for first, it is less work for me, right? I don't bring home any work. Second, they realize that they have to always be checking themselves as well, instead of only just write something and deliver it, because sometimes the teacher has a lot of books and he don't even read the notebooks, right? It happens sometimes that you just pass the sheets of paper and say, okay, because there's too much job, but you cannot do it, right?
Yeah, but don't you think, Ricardo, that this might take a lot from the time of the period? Sometimes the period is just 40 to 45 minutes, and then checking the homework at the beginning could take up 10 to 15 minutes. So you don't actually have enough time to explain the lesson?
Well, could be. All depends the amount of homework you leave them in the first place, right? If it's only 1 page or something like that, it's only takes 4 minutes.
Okay, that's quick. That's good.
But if you are you know, a nightmare teacher and leave them 1 chapter, obviously it's going to be.
Oh, that will take long then.
Yes, I advise you guys, teachers of the world, not to give too much homework, because it's gonna be piled on your head at the end of the day. So,
sure.
So this is great. I have 2 questions here. So I'm asking you 1 question, then we go back to the questions in the chat box. Okay?
Okay.
How are students assessed in your country of residence? Nancy,
okay.
How do they assess students in your country?
Okay. So, well, you mean the exams and all that, right? Assignments and marking. Yes. Okay, so in the primary school, it's not actually like a marking system. They have you know, simple assignments or very simple exams before different holidays, like before Easter, Halloween, Christmas, and also summer holidays. So they have, and it's more like you know, assessing like reading, listening, comprehension, and all that. So it's more like a points assessment. Okay, so the teacher check what needs to be improved, what they are good at. They write this like in points. And that's it. Okay, but in the secondary school, it depends on the year. Okay, so in first and second year of the secondary school, they have also exams before holidays, two exams, one before the Christmas, and the other, we call it Christmas exam, and the other one is a summer exam. And it's different with the last year, the third year, and the sixth year. They have mock exams in February, and another one at the end of the before the summer holiday. So this is, but you know, because these are like transferring the students from the lower secondary to the upper secondary, or from the upper secondary to college. So these are very important exams. So this is how the marking system works. And again, whether you are taking the transitional year or not, it just depends on if it's 2 or 3 years cycle. Here, like these days, because of the COVID-19, in the primary school, they took predicted grades. Okay, so they saw like checked your performance for the last couple of years, and then they took like a predicted grades. because unfortunately they can, and along with the online engagement and all that. So this is how the students assessed here.
Great.
Yeah.
Is it the same, Ricardo, or your country has a different system?
Well, I guess that we are a little bit more old school, old fashioned, because we still do every single month, we do a test, a grading test. In the public, they only do one test. In the private schools, we do the spelling test, the grammar test, the listening test, speaking test, reading test. It's loads
because
of
they pay money, my friend.
Pardon me?
Because they pay money. That's why they have
Yes.
exams.
Yes, it is important because in the private school they learn a little bit better, but on the academic, on the human side, right now that's my personal point of view. We are encouraging them to be sarcastic and to be pathetic because they say, I pay you, you can do, you have to do whatever I want. Because if I cry, if I do here, also, and I don't want to get involved about politics or something extra that is not teaching, right? But here, for example, if just a kid, just because he is mad because you score him low, and he said, he touched my knee, you end up in prison just because the saying of this little kid. So, no, it is
really?
hard. Right now,
it is
really
hard.
Really hard.
Okay.
Yes.
I doubt that you teach in Mexico, Ricardo, because I know this system. It's not only in Mexico, but I'm not going to say which country is using this.
Oh, please don't.
Yes.
Yeah, but anyway, so we were talking about the tests. Yes, but what I really do, I am a little bit rebellious. So what I do normally are all these kind of projects, as you said. If we do a radio station today with the topic of save the stray dogs, for example, or any other project we have monthly. I do projects monthly, and at the end, I really score them with their performance. Even if they break up, for example, on the grammar paper, they fail completely, but they did a great job in your stand-up. I grade them good. Maybe not the maximum, that is 10, but 8, 9, because you are looking that they are getting better every time, right?
Okay, guys, so
That's good.
it's the Q&A part now because I have like 3 or 4 questions till this moment. So may I ask you some questions sent by our dear attendees?
Yeah, go ahead.
What do you think?
Yeah, of course, go ahead.
Okay.
We will try as much as possible to answer their questions.
So Amy is asking both of you, what are you doing if students don't like to do their homework?
Okay. Okay, Ricardo, go ahead. After you.
Okay, if my students they didn't do homework, well, first of all, I'm the kind of teacher that I never get angry with them. Okay, you didn't do your homework, you didn't do your homework, sorry. Okay, good for you. But yes, at the end, I have to speak to them. I have to talk to them privately to tell them how important it is to bring, not because it's the homework, it's because it's a compromise that they have done because they are there and they want to be there. So in a way, you have to treat them as an adult, because if you want that kind of responses, obviously they are not adults, they have not the same responsibility, but they always like to be treated not in a childish way, right? So if you don't,
make them
at least here there are, sorry, at least here there are still some teachers that they yell to the kids and why you didn't do homework, and things like that. They're a little bit aggressive, so obviously they block. But when you are kind of friendly with them, they always react in a good way.
You played cool, my friend. You played cool. Excellent.
Exactly.
Okay, what about you?
Okay. Well, okay, I can't just answer this question as it is because, well, I believe that if the students loves you, and I love you, and I saw it, you know, if they love you, if they feel that they're enjoying your class, and you always keep them motivated, they will do their best to do the homework. So there is nothing called that they don't like it. Okay, I thought, okay, with adults it's different because they will be more committed, you know, to the class. But with, I taught children for 2 years, and it's never happened to me. You know, they know me. They loved my class. They loved me. So I well, every time I check the homework, it's done. But in case they didn't like it, I think I might discuss it with them. I always make something like you know, writing the names of I would actually end up writing the whole names of the whole class on the board, but they are just, you know, I'm putting a lot of stars, a lot of smiley faces, because, you know, for those who wrote the homework, for those who performed well in the class. So you end up want your name on the board because you are a good student, and that's what makes them do their homework. But in case they didn't, I tried to talk to them. Was there any reason you didn't do that? I know that you are a very good, you know, student, and you know, they end up doing it and bringing it the next day.
Okay, we have another question from Heidi. She's telling you that the three of us agreed that we should give like very little homework to the kids, especially to the kids. But
Yeah.
now what about the parents who are angry because you just didn't give enough homework to the students, who are playing around and causing noise, and they are...
And you know that I know personally some parents who left the country here in Ireland because they are not satisfied with the amount of homework. Believe me.
Really?
Believe me.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
But again, you will not satisfy everyone. Okay, you have to tell them this is the educational system and this is how we work. You know, well, the aim of having your child in the primary school is to learn. Okay, but not also to stress him out to the limit that he cannot enjoy his life as a child. Okay, so it's always to, you know, the exaggeration is bad both ways, right?
So you,
Not
you
giving
apply
too
the
much.
system. You apply.
Yeah, and
Yes.
to add something to that idea, it also all depends how you teacher are created for homeworks, right? For example, during these webinars that I have been invited and chatting with all of you, have discovered a lot of tools that the kids even write you back saying, please another homework, please another homework, please another homework, because they had so much fun using Kahoot and Jigsaw Planet and all these elements that we have around, that they don't care if it's homework or not because they are having fun. And as you said, they love you and everything that you say is interesting for them.
Yeah.
So we have another question from our dear friend Han, and she's telling us, how do they punish students in your country?
Okay. No, well, to be honest, I have no clue. I have no clue how punishment system goes here. Okay, so let's pass this question to Ricardo.
How do you punish your students?
I don't punish my students. They are all good.
Oh, they're lucky.
No, I don't at all. Well, whether they are children or adults, it's never happened that I had to.
We will send you some. We have lots of them here. Ricardo?
Well, if I have to go back on my days, because for sure I am older than you are, guys. So back in my days,
more experience.
How old are you, Ricardo?
I am 45.
Oh, you're older. Yes.
Yes, I told you.
Mashallah,
thank you. Okay, well, back in those days, and as I told you, my first job was in a kindergarten, and there was also a kid that was driving me nuts, right? So I decided to make him invisible. Okay, as I cannot punish you, I will punish anyone else that talk to you. I will punish anyone else, but to play with you. But obviously, then somebody at the school, the principal of the school, told me, you cannot do that, right? You cannot just erase a kid just like that, because you are going to harm his values and all of that. So then I started reading and getting involved, and then that's why I discovered that you have to include them and not exclude them, right? But there are a lot of people here that, yes, they still do. For example, you didn't bring homework, go in the middle of the yard under the sun and stay there 1 hour or 2 hours or whatever.
Okay.
Happened
That's
here in
harsh.
Mexico too. Yes, or you know the electrical chair that where you have to put your back on the wall and
Oh.
pretend that you are sitting on a chair.
Mm-hmm.
It hurts your legs. It is not
Okay.
very often, but still people do it. Still some
Mm.
teachers do it.
Yes,
Yeah.
I do agree that we shouldn't punish them, as Nancy said, and try as much as we can
Talk to them.
to
Yeah.
make them love. Yes, to make them love that. So our last question from Mr. Khalid Talat is asking you: do you apply the cooperative group work and that stuff in your classes? Is it a must, or you have choice for
Well,
students to work in groups, or
of
they work
course.
on their own? What?
No, of course, you have to apply like the you know, group work and pair work, because this actually, when you have some sort of competition, whether you're teaching adults or you know, children, it keeps them motivated until the last minute of the class, especially with the children. So group work is very important, whether, you know, a conversational class or even in a dictation or something like that. So it's very, very important. We do, of course, apply this to our classroom.
Great. What about you,
Yes,
Ricardo? Is it a
yes,
must to use these techniques in your classes?
yes. For example, at the very beginning, I encourage them to create the group song, right, with the values that we want to show them, and they can do a rap, a rock. Right now here, I don't know if you know this kind of music, reggaeton,
Yeah.
that for
Yes,
me
yes.
I don't like it,
Yeah.
but well, the kids love it. So if they want to create a reggaeton for the song of the from the hymn of the room,
Okay.
would be good. So that they make a strong unity, right? So when you ask them to work in pairs, they really enjoy it and it's useful for them. So I think always to work pairs or to work in groups, it's always better than individually.
Yeah, definitely.
So, one last question from Khalid Talat. He's asking you if any teacher is adapting a technique and he thinks that this is the best that he can do in. So his question is, are you affected by the management of the school? I mean, the principal and the supervisor that may lead you to change your techniques inside the class just to satisfy them, or you stick to
No,
your
no.
techniques?
Well, it's not this is very solid, you know, it doesn't work this way. You have your own way of, well, they can teach you, okay, they can tell you that you have to teach, for example, this lesson or that lesson, but they can't, you know, push you to do this in their own way. Okay, this is like a killing your creativity as a teacher. So no, well, for me, this has never happened to me, even when I worked in Saudi Arabia. No, not at all.
Great, great.
Well, yes, never happened to me either. But I have heard that in some of the public schools here, they do. The principal, the director, they go room by room checking if the class is right in his mood, right? But never happened to me.
No, they
Great.
might evaluate the class, you know, like evaluate your way of teaching. Maybe ask the students some questions to make sure that they do understand what you have taught them, but not to, you know, tell you how to teach the lesson. I don't think so.
Yes, yes, yes,
Okay.
exactly. Always an evaluation is good.
Yeah.
Our dear friend Tahira Ali is sending you that using creative punishment techniques or methods may lead us that we don't have people who are behind their homework or that stuff, which means that we can support and encourage them to do their homework, so we're not going to suffer from this point anymore. I guess that this is what you said, Nancy, in other words.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, that's what I said. Yeah.
So guys,
But I don't call it creative punishment. I call it creative that's not leading to punishment or creativity.
yes, so guys, it was a very marvelous time to be here with you. I just sent you the survey link in the chat box, So feel free
Thank
to
you.
fill this in to get your certificate of attendance. Thank you, Nancy, for being here, and go on doing your marvelous things. Thank you so much.
Thanks to you for hosting this event and for, of course, you know, asking us to attend this. Thank you.
You're welcome. My dear friend Ricardo, I do appreciate your participation, though your internet is sometimes not that good, but you insisted to be here with us. Thank you so much, my dear friend.
Thank you to you all, and goodbye. Hope to see you soon, Hussein.
Inshallah, we'll see each other soon. Guys, you have the link, and I'm sending it again. And I'd like to thank you, our dear attendees. And our program for next week will be on Sunday. We're hosting Mrs. Manal. She's a principal in an SAT school. So she's telling us about the American system. Then we have a lecture with a football trainer who's going to tell you how you should care with how you should care for your talented football players, young ones, your kids. And on Thursday, next Thursday, we're hosting Dr. Ahmed. He's a dear friend, and he's going to tell you what you should do to, if you're going to start your PhD steps. So I can't thank you enough. Giovanna from Mexico is telling you hello, Ricardo. Hello, Nancy. Thank you, Giovanna.
Hello. Hello, Giovanna.
Friend, yes.
Okay, hasta la vista, amigos.
Migos means friend, right? I know. Migos.
Migos. I know Migos as well.
Yes, right?
I know a little bit of
come
Spanish, Ricardo. Hola.
All right, you should come here to my city. It is the nickname of this city is the city of the eternal spring. Here always is sunny with a lot of flowers, birds all around, places to go and swim. So join us.
Okay, thank you. Well, we will join you. I will join you, Ricardo, one day. So, guys,
okay, wait for you guys
so
here.
Nancy, I can't thank you enough. Ricardo, you're my dear friend. See you guys. Thank you, our dear attendees. See you next Sunday.
Goodbye.
Bye.